Welcome back to ETBU Extra as we broadcast live from the first floor of the Ornella Student Center. Time now to talk Lady Tiger basketball with the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Edsel Hamilton. And Coach, you're in that very difficult time of the year with the schedule, with being away from home after playing so many games at home. Now you're on that road trip. The first one was Monday night. Unfortunately for your Lady Tigers, it comes down to the end, and Louisiana College gets the edge, and they beat you by 2. That's kind of a hard loss to take, but it's a learning experience for your team, and you got to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, we really needed that game. We're all kind of bunched up after UT Tyler's undefeated in conference right now, but there's 4 of us. Laterno's got 4 losses. We've got 5. Dallas has 5, and now LC has 5. So there's 4 of us all fighting for 3 spots in the conference tournament. So I really needed that win to kind of create some separation for us, and we were in control pretty much the whole game. We were up by about between 8 and 10, I think, most of the game, and just right at the end, we just could not buy a basket in about the last 3-4 minutes of the game. Just nothing we were putting up was going in. And, we did some things where we took some rush shots that, time and score situation we shouldn't have taken. We were getting calls for the majority of the game, but late in the game, we kind of stopped being as aggressive. And when we did drive, we started trying to avoid contact instead of taking contact and threw up some wild shots that didn't go in. But the good shots that we got weren't going in either, and we missed some free throws late too. It was just tough to lose a game like that where you're in control. And LC's good. I mean, they're super young. They've got 6 of their top 10 players are freshmen, and they've just continued to get better and better throughout the year. And I give them a lot of credit that we were ahead and they never went away. We just couldn't put them away, and they just hung around and made enough plays late to pull it out.
In the loss, Louisiana College Monday night, Lauren Lee was 16 points. Taylor Alexander with 12 points. Your post players got some good points in.
Yeah, they scored. I thought, again, we were getting some calls in there. So Taylor, I think, went 8 for 10 from the free throw line. So she got to the free throw line a lot. Didn't shoot that well from the field, but she did a good job after the first couple of minutes of being more aggressive instead of taking fadeaway jumpers and stuff, really going up, powering up to the basket and drawing some fouls. Lauren hit some jumpers and scored around the basket some too. And they can do that. I've been saying all year that that's our biggest advantage over anybody, is that nobody else has 2 post players that are as big as those 2 are, that are as good as those 2 are. So, the more that we can get it into them, the better, and they did a good job on Monday night.
In that game against Louisiana College, I want to take note of this and ask you about it, Coach. April Leonard, in her career, over 1,000 points as a Tiger. What does that mean in basketball when a player can put up 1,000 points in their career?
It means you've gotten to you were good enough to play a lot early, for one thing, which she was. She played a lot as a freshman, and she's gotten a lot of minutes her whole career. So basically, I think if you do the numbers, it's something like you got to basically average 10 points a game for your career, which is tough to do in college. I mean, there's a lot of high school players that do it because the talent level is a little bit less evenly distributed and it's a little more watered down. But when you get to college, I mean, everybody's good. Everybody was the best player on their team, and a lot of players kind of have to grow into their role as a player, whether it's kind of getting spot minutes here and there as a freshman and maybe a little more as a sophomore. But she's gotten minutes her whole career, and she's a scorer. She's a pure scorer. She can shoot from anywhere on the floor. She can create her own shot and create space for herself. So testament to her skill level, and especially at somebody that her size. She's barely 5 feet tall, but she plays hard, and she's feisty out there, and she's got a will to win, and we love having her on the team.
Well, Coach, let's move to the UT Tyler game. UT Tyler, undefeated in conference play, only lost 1 game this season. They're ranked in the top 5 in the nation among NCAA Division III basketball teams, and wow, was I excited because something special was about to happen, it looked like, because you end the first quarter tied. You go in halftime at tied. You're still tight in the third quarter, but as good teams find a way to win, and that's exactly what happened against UT Tyler.
Yeah, they're ranked 5th in the country for a reason. They're loaded with talent. I mean, everybody on their team is a really good player. They don't think they have any weak spots really, and their coach does a good job with them. And they're not just talented; they do play really hard too. They're very active defensively. They push the ball in transition really hard, and they do a good job of playing together. I think they lead the conference in assists, so they share the ball a lot. In the first half, we had a few things. If we'd have done a little bit better job of, we might have had a little bit of a lead and a cushion. I think we gave up like 15 offensive rebounds in the first half or something like that, which is just way too many, and gave them a lot of second chance opportunities that they took advantage of. And again, we could have had a lead going into the half instead of being tied. And it's a little bit different game when you're playing from behind. And in the third quarter, same thing. I was just really happy with the way the girls competed. We competed the whole game. We believed that we could win. And we did compete with them for the entire time, and I think if we play like that again, we're going to have a great shot on tomorrow night. Just a few mistakes late in the game where, we turned the ball over at some bad times, and they got run-out layups. I think our half-court defense in that game was really good. I think we did a really good job of guarding them in half-court, but it's a lot harder to guard them when it's 3-on-1 and 2-on-1 because, we're turning the ball over or not getting back in transition. They just took off and ran and got some layups on us that, that ended up beating us in the end. And obviously, like the 11-point margin was, we fouled at the end a few times and had some free throws and stuff.
Yeah,
so
it
was really
back.
kind of a 5-6 point game. So, we showed that we can compete with them when we're playing really well. I think we shot 44% from the field offensively, so we were able to score on them when we weren't turning it over. So, give their defense credit. They do play really good defense, but we had some turnovers that were our fault. And so if we correct those things, I think we'll have a good chance at them tomorrow night.
One more game we'll talk about before we talk about the next two games they had is the Laterno game last Thursday as you win over Laterno 77-60. And I noticed in the box and realized this later that all 5 of your starters were in double figures in that ball game. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling them, like, we want to get the ball to our posts as much as we can, but our offenses are equal opportunity. We want to get the best shot for our team, no matter who it is that's shooting it. If that's one person shooting every time, if it's the best shot for our team, that's okay. And if that's, a different person shooting every possession, that's okay too. So we really did a good job of sharing the ball in that game. They're very active and athletic defensively. And, the temptation is to get caught up into the pace of the game where they're kind of running around. And they were throwing up some wild shots too. And the temptation is to start playing that kind of game. But I was really proud of our girls for sticking with our game plan and being patient offensively. They've got one of their players is I think she's the leading scorer in the conference, Crystal Jones, and she can just score. She can get her shot off at any time. And so the temptation is she comes down and hits a shot with somebody in her face, and you start thinking, well, I can do that too. I can show her, and go down and take a bad shot. But we really did a good job of not doing that. I think we only really took maybe 2 or 3 bad shots the whole game. So we executed our defensive game plan really well. We took away what we wanted to take away, and we gave up what we were willing to give up. And then offensively, I said we shared the ball. We were patient. We got it inside. We really moved it well and got good shots. And I was just really, really happy with the effort in that game.
As I said, 5 starters for the Tigers in the win over Laterno in double figures. April entered 17 points. Taylor Alexander with 16. Lauren Lee with 16. Malaysia Chisholm with 11. And Morgan Garrett with 10. Now we move to this week's rest of the road trip as the Lady Tigers continue to play. They're 13-7 on the year, 6-5 in American Southwest Conference East Division play. With the performance you had in that loss Saturday against UT Tyler, and as you face them again Thursday, you got a lot of things to build on to show your ladies that, hey, you can play with these ladies and you can win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of focusing on what we did right and doing more of that and trying to eliminate what we didn't do well. They're going to go back and look at it too and say that they didn't shoot the ball very well, which is true. And I think our defense had a lot to do with that. But on another day, if they get hot, they can bury you. So we're going to have to hope that they have another similar shooting game. But we've got to do our job defensively of, keeping them in front of us when they drive, closing out on shooters to make sure they don't get any clean looks at the basket. We really did a good job of that in that game. Like I said, it was really just the transition layups is really what got us. The half-court stuff was good. But they score, I think, 80-something points a game in conference. So the biggest focus for us is going to be we got to slow them down. If we can keep them under 70, 65, we're going to have a good shot.
And then you play Laterno, which you had a win of 17 points. You kind of be careful there because they could go in there with an attitude of, oh, well, we beat them easily last week, but, it's a different team every time on the floor in the ASC.
Yeah, and I think with it being a rivalry game, I think our girls will get up for it. But at the same time, Laterno is going to be looking at it and saying that they didn't play very well and that we did not get their best shot. So they're going to come back with something to prove, and I think they'll probably play better than they did the first time. But if we do what we did the first time and just compete and just play hard and play together, I think we got a shot at beating anybody we play.
Coach, any final words?
I hope everybody will make the short trip over to Tyler tomorrow night and then over to Longview on Saturday, and love to have good support for those 2 games.
I agree. Coach Hamilton's been our guest here talking Lady Tiger basketball. As he said, Thursday night, UT Tyler, 5:30 tip, and then Saturday, 1 p.m. tip against Laterno. Coming up next on the E2 Extra Show, the tennis season, the spring season for Tiger tennis has begun, and we'll talk with the head coach of the lady and women's teams, Jeff Bramlett, next on E2 Extra. We'll be back in just a moment from the campus of East Texas Baptist University.